Hello and welcome to BonkTable. I'm Mass with another Conquest battle report. I am playing Dweg. I'm playing a new Dweghom List, so might pull out Fast Dwarf again in the future, but I wanted to try out some other stuff, mostly the Tempered Steelshaper, so I shot a message over to Brian and I'm like, hey, you play Dweg. I want to play Tempered Steelshaper. What's a list? And he's like, try this, and then he handed me gold. I'm playing that into Spires, and I'm playing my local Spires player who's been kind of grinding out his Adepticon list from when he went to Adepticon, and he hasn't really made, I don't really think, too many adjustments to it. I think he's done like some slight tweaking, but really it's just been the same thing I saw at Adepticon. And he really wants to get more Dweg games in because he didn't do very well into Dweg. I obliged, and we had this game. So let's get into these lists. Here is the list Brian provided me. It is called Trifecta. It has Warlord, Tempered Steelshaper, Tempered Sorcerer, and an Argent Kilowatt. Warlord, Tempered Steelshaper, he has his supremacy. I'm not going to try and say it. I'm just going to go find it and just read it out because everyone knows I am bad at saying words that are bigger than 5 letters. Phrenic Embrace. So for the duration of the battle, each time a regiment or a character stand, this army spends an element potency marker. That regiment or character stand heals 1 wound for each potency marker spent to a maximum of 3 wounds. The heals applied cumulatively rather than separately. Cumulatively. Well done. Is that actually? It's regiment or character stand. Oh, okay, cool. So, totally brain farted there for a moment. I was like, this doesn't work. Anyway. What this basically does, you spend your up to 5 tokens, your shit tickets, and you can heal up to 3 wounds. So there's a little bit of healing in Dweg, what's kind of nice. Then he's got his 3 spells, +1 clash, harden +1, and -1 defense on an enemy guy. Him being Wizard 7 is really good. Him not having to duel people is really good, and him allowing to auto cast his spells onto his regiment or enemy regiments he's engaged with, also super good. He's sitting in a regiment of Hold Ballistae, who are hardier Merc crossbows. Like, literally, that is what they are. I like him. He's just kind of like an auto-generator. He doesn't have to rely on anything. He just auto-generates shit tickets, and his supremacy's not bad. Tempered Sorcerer in the School of Fire, riding a Hellbringer Drake, and he's got 2 units of Fire Forged with the Hellbringer Drake. Okay, well... Let's talk about the big issue you're going to see in this game. I suck at School of Fire. I suck so bad at the School of Fire that I didn't School of Fire at all this game. It was mostly just a random guy with a Barrage 5 range 16 gun shooting off of the Hellbringer Drake. That's how bad School of Fire was for me. The other one is, I got to point out for myself, is that the Tempered Steelshaper is Barrage 5 range 18, and I... didn't realize that through basically the entirety of the game until I finally looked at his clash and attacks when and was like, oh, he actually has a gun. I should have been firing that gun with the Hold Ballistae. So need to play more Dweg games and play other things. As you're finding about spoilers. Then we finally got the Argent Kilowatt. He's decked out with Dregbird, who gives you the Cleave 3 sword or axe. I don't even know what this thing actually is. And then Flaming Oratory, what just gives Tenacious to the regiment he's in. He's going to be sitting in that 6 stack of Flame Berserkers, then you got an MSU of Flame Berserkers, and then 2 Wardens. Overall, I like the list. It was kind of fun to play. I like that there's 3 different casters to get that, that Trifecta name. I liked the Argent's Warband because they just had a lot of melee going on, but really helped out both the Tempered and the Steelshaper. Fireforge did some good work, Hellbringer Drake did some good work, Tempered Sorcerer kind of let me down, but my opponent was totally aware of what this guy does and wasn't giving it to me. My only really complaint about the Tempered Steelshaper is that his shit ticket generation is not as good as the double, Tempered Sorcerer. Like, if you make the Tempered Sorcerer the Warlord, he's getting 2 spell casts off, and then you just get another one, so then you're getting 3 spell casts off, so you're, and whatever other wizards you're doing, so you're just generating more. Problem with Fire School, especially for shit tick generation, is that it relies on you being able to get to your opponent, and your opponent like coming into you. So if there's no one around, you won't generate any tickets. While with Magma, you just drop down, you just erupting ground, you make some terrain erupting, and you just generate tickets off that way. Argent Killua is pretty good for generating tickets because he just casts them himself. Steelshaper is good for generating tickets because he casts them himself. Like, Magma is good. Earth, I think there's something in Earth where you can just basically cast on yourself or throw her out. But Fire relies on your opponent cooperating with you, and if your opponent doesn't cooperate with you, you're not really generating tickets, which kind of sucks. And those tickets do matter if you're playing in Steelshaper or Sorcerer. You are really looking for those tickets to survive and do work and keep your stuff going. And if you don't have a good ticket generator, you got to look at other things. And because the Steelshaper doesn't give you a double cast, you're going to have to look into different things to generate tickets. And that's kind of like a problem I found with the list and with Fire. I think Fire's good if you are throwing a Tempered Sorcerer in there with like an Argent Warlord or like a Hold Ray, or you're only running one Wizard like in this list, but it's still reliant on your opponent. While if you're looking to maximize your shit tickets, you want to look more towards Magma because you have better ways that don't interact with your opponent and they're more in your control. So yeah, that's kind of like the big one I just want to take away from list design. I might talk later about like different lists that I'm thinking of playing in the future from this game, because I learned a lot of Dweghom from this game, and we'll go through it. Besides that, everything else kind of did what it needed to do. And yeah, let's go slow roll those rules, and you can pause the video at any time. Look at something that I didn't really talk about. I feel like I did more in-depth stuff before, but it's kind of getting to the point where it's like, the app's free. Go look at the app. All right, or leave a comment. Like, that's another option. You just leave a comment. I'll reply at some point, and usually in the next like day or two after someone shows me a comment. All right, let's go to Spires. Here's the Spires list. Post-Cataclysm Reconstruction is what my opponent called it. My opponent is named Skillen. I think I've talked about him every once in a while. I'll name drop him. He's just a local who's pretty good at the game, looking to always improve and get better. And he's doing really well since he first started. I want to say in like November, December-ish. And he's really come a long ways. He's been really like looking into the game. He's been playing TTS against other stronger players from across the world to get better. He's always looking for ways to improve, and he puts me through the ringer, so I'm always glad to get a game with him. His Warlord for today is the Lineage Highborn, running those 3 mutations, Cascading Degeneration for Aura Death 4, Command Fair Drones, I don't even know what you do anymore. I totally forget. I think it's like a bonus to resolve. Ferromantic Override is the draw event, like March and Clash and all that stuff. Let's see if I can find, was it Command Fair Drones? Yeah, I don't know what that does anymore. Yeah, +1 resolve. Yeah, so that's good. So it gets them to resolve 5. And the Lineage Highborn is sitting in a big block of Sentinels, so they are never going away. Oh my god, there's 5 of them. 2 Avatar, really good. With Superior Creations, getting up to Clash 3, so once they get into melee, they can start really killing stuff with their Cleave 1. Avatar are a super good regiment. Like, they have a very good stat line of Resolve 4, Defense 4, and Evasion 2. So they're always going to be rolling defenses. Wound 4 isn't that great, but with its defensive stat line that good, any higher wounds, it just gets oppressives on top of their high march. And they have decent enough like clash and attacks to just start slowly cutting through stuff. They make a really good anvil / speed bump. And you can kind of put them into other chaff and just kind of win that fight over a couple turns and then take over a zone or something. So Avatar, I really like him, super good. Lastly, in the Lineage Highborn warband is the Centaur Avatara. Skillen moved from the, the Danger Shrimp, I believe as it's called, the Siegebreaker Behemoth, to the Centaur Avatara. And the reason for this is that he was finding that the Shrimp was just getting shot at and wasn't really kind of fast enough. It was more of a tech piece to fight against Ash and Dawn and get rid of them because, if you're defense 0, you're not getting any blessed. And the Danger Shrimp would kind of win that fight. It would go well into monsters and do other stuff. However, as our meta's kind of shaken up locally, and the drawbacks of the Danger Shrimp being such a large target, he's moved away from that and went to Centaur Avatara. Centaur Avatara, very good at being March 8, Clash 3, Brutal Impact 2. They only get 3 impacts compared to like Crimson Towers 4, but having that additional speed of March 8 really allows them to just go March Charge, Long Bomb into stuff. They also have the same defensive stats and wounds, so they're a little bit more survivable. However, they are Evasion 1, so if you cut through that defense through the shield down to 0, you get to Evasion 1. And then their 5 attacks get flurries, so once they're in there, they can actually chew through some stuff while rerolling their Clash of 3. All that comes with the sweet point cost of 190. So little jealous, 100k side here shown, little jealous of the Centaur Avatara compared to the Crimson Towers. However, this is a really good regiment, does a lot of work. It could still get like chopped off and cut down, but it has a couple things going for it, what I do like. And it's a great final wave. So like, if you're thinking of deploying this list, you like run up, he's got like Strix in here, you run up your Strix, you get your like boot drones, your marksman clones, all your other guys, your Avatar running up, your Incarnate Sentinels kind of fighting as a second wave, and then you can just kind of clean up with the Centaur Avatar. Super good, really solid, well done. Next warband is the High Clone Executor, Bionic Hive and Marksman variant, gets him his 22-inch Deadly Shot Arcing Fire gun. He's running Disperse and Overtax Neurosystem, so Bastion +1 and then you lose formation. He's sitting in a unit of Marksman clones. You love him and you hate him. Gotta hate these things. They're so annoying. And then a superior created Vanguard clone unit, super good as well. Ferromancer running Avatar Projections to sit in the unit of Brute Drones. He's just doing his Smellmancies. He's, dropping down his various... what has he got? Does it not show? Or does it show differently? Hold on, maybe the army builder's wrong. Let me just browse the factions. Ferromancer. Yeah, so he has actions, but it doesn't show up here. So that's kind of weird. Also, it shows up in the army builder. No, that's Avatar Projections. So he has Induced Lethargy, what's not here, and Ferromantic Gland Burst. So his 2 actions of either, within 8 inches giving a -1. No, within 10 inches of the character stand -1. And Gland Burst, giving an 8-inch regiment +1 march or resolve until end of round, so you go really fast. And then he's got his various Ferromancies. Spires can really boost the speed of a lot of things, like making Centaur Avatara speed 9, giving Incarnates speed 8, like making Avatara speed 8. Like you can really start setting engagements, and then also having marksman clones plinking away at your opponent really kind of forces them to try and get to you, what allows you to set up traps and allow you to just take the initiative. So either your opponent gets frustrated getting shot at and then comes forward and you get them that way, or because you are faster, you will set the line of engagement, you will shoot up and get the alpha attack and kill something before your opponent can react. Ferromancer does that and sets that up very well. Great support piece in the Spires faction. Onslaught Jones, you sit on an objective. That's really it. Good job, guys. You're 120 points. You score a zone. Well done. I got really nothing to say about them. Lastly, Strix. Fuck these things. They're so good. They're so good. They're not the greatest defensively, but you don't really give a shit about that. What you're doing is really just disrupting your opponent. Fly is such a great rule because you just fly over your opponent into their back line. You can sit behind a house. You can sit behind various regiments and everything. You can do a lot with fly, and on top of that being March 10, so you can like charge theoretically 26. You're probably like 20's enough. 21's enough. Like you can March charge someone 21 inches and just get them. And then from then it's like, okay, am I going to clear off this regiment of Strix that's attacking my unit of, let's say, Merc Crossbows, who has a Fire Mage in it. Well, if I attack with the Merc Crossbows, they explode on the Merc Crossbows. If I attack with something else, they're going to explode onto that. I kind of have to shoot them. Like, it just disrupts formation. So Strix really good. And if it's good, run 2 of it. My opponent's only chosen 1, so maybe he'll get into the market of running 2. But I'm going to slow roll my opponent's rules. Pause the video at any time to read something. Or, check on your phone. Or subscribe. Or, I don't know. I do this for fun. But with that, let's go to the scenario. Alright, so here's our scenario for the day. It's the Klein Flank. You got these 6 zones across the table. You get 2 VPs for scoring a zone. You gain an additional 2 if you're seizing 3 or more. and you gain 1 if you are seizing all of them. The gimmick with this one is that the player who wins the first supremacy, or I guess during the supremacy phase, whoever wins it, who's now declared as the first player, gets to pick one of these zones and then gets to shut them off. Then the second player will go and they will pick another zone and shut them off. Then the opponent's really got only like 4 zones to play. Then this gets into actually seizing the zones, because you can't seize the zones that are turned off. You only get the bonus points for controlling the 3 that are available, and then if you're controlling 4, you get all the points. So you get 2 for each, what is 8, 2 for 3, so go to 10, and then you get the additional. So the maximum score on this per turn is 11 points. And then this gets into how are you going to turn off zones and what are you going to take. For myself, I usually try and take my 2 closest for sure. And depending on the table, I will probably this kind of gets a little weird. You want to for sure take 2 of your closer zones, because you know one of your 3 are going to be shut off. However, you could go for these 2, you'll see in the game, and then your opponent could shut off this one. And then you might say, oh, I should go for that one. Bad move, don't do that. What you should be doing, this is where the good moves come in, is you should shoot across and take your opponent's corner in either way. And then start pushing this way so that you redesign the box. I'll use orange. So that you control these 4 zones and your opponent's shutting off 1, and you can tell your opponent to stay over there. You don't really care. They have 2. So then, and then you shut off 1 of theirs and you're whatever. That's kind of how I see this really playing out. If you can play wide, go for it, but usually what tends to happen with a lot of factions army is that you take over 2/3 of the table. We'll just go with yellow. So, yeah, good enough. I would go with that. There's your 2/3. You kind of go over, take 2/3 of the table, let your opponent play with his 1/3, let them score points, let them do whatever they want, and just assert your dominance on your side of the table, and then push into your opponents and taking that over. However, your opponent is trying to do the same thing, and this can kind of go either way. If you give up the zone over here, and your opponent runs for it and realizes that early on, they could start getting some points, and if you can't break through, they can kind of escalate from there, but you should be able to concentrate your forces enough to kind of punch through and start taking stuff. That's kind of the theory on this one. How that plays out is, just kind of how the game develops. So let's go to the table and we'll have a look at that. Here's the table. We have hindering and obscuring forests. I'll just H and O on all of these. Then we got some size 3 buildings, and then we got some water, and then we got some elevation over here. So not too bad. This table is kind of split where, let's just look at it from my side, where this zone over on the right here is isolated to the rest of the table, so it's not a really good pick. My 2 zones right in the middle are fine to go grab, and then I could try and see about making a play for this zone over here, what is isolated for my opponent from the rest of his stuff. So whatever's going there is kind of has to self-support itself, but then we kind of get into us fighting over these 4 zones. So overall, pretty good table. There's terrain everywhere. You can set up and use it, and I like it. It's going to be a tough fight. There are plays to make, and let's get into turn 1. Here's turn 1. I get all my lights, so my 2 Flame Berserkers and my, Hold Ballistae? I was going to say Hold Things, but they're not Hold Things. I initially start running up the little Flame Berserker up the table. The big block is looking to get into the zone over here. My opponent just gets their Strix, and they're just kind of hanging out over here. They have no reason to come forward. I know that I can generate tokens and heal off the Tempered Sorcerer, so I'm looking to keep the Tempered, I'll use orange, within 8 inches of various stuff so that he can heal them and reduce damage. He's also looking to get into the woods here, because I know I'm going to get shot at some point, and reducing the shots coming into me, also good. I'll use green, looking for that forest and that one, just because I want to reduce shots, and they're in a really good spot to just kind of sit in them. score those points and reduce damage coming into me. My opponent just kind of drops it just so because he's looking to threat project on this side of the table, lock it down, and where he's going to put his marksman clones at some point is like, I don't know, to be honest. So, not a too bad opening salvo. I'm pretty tight. I got a lot of space off on the left here. I'm just circling black, what I can develop later. But I can move all my stuff up and then generate more space behind me to fill out the rest of my stuff. Let's go on to turn 2. Here's turn 2. I just get my Hellbringer Drake and Tempered Sorcerer. My opponent rolls really well. He brings in his Marksman Clones, Brute Drones of Ferromancer, and double Avatara. So he gets to really push up the table and set the line. Myself looking at it, I spend the first couple turns just casting spells on myself off of my various characters, generating more shit tickets. I just have a dial right in the middle of the table so I never forget about it. That's how I remember my shit ticket pool. It's just that. I don't really make any huge moves because I don't really need to get shot at, and also, like, I'm already going to be scoring zones. So I get my command stand in this zone with the Flame Berserks, start scoring that. I then look to getting the Hellbringer Drake into that other zone, what's currently locked down, and kind of put some pressure on that and score it. And the rest of my stuff kind of just starts getting into like trees and various forests. As you can see, you know, hold Ballista, just move over, give some room to the Hellbringer Drake, and go from there. And then because I have now kind of got all my, like, a very strong center, I'm looking to support that and maybe fill out something over here, and then I got plenty of space over here to fill out. My opponent, as they're moving stuff up, you can see where their marksman clones are, so they're starting to like threaten the middle and then my right side. Not a bad spot, but that forest right there might cause a hindrance to them at some point. Avatar running up like the way they are, so he's obviously going to put this Avatar here to lock down the zone. And if I ever try and go for it to unlock it to, let's say, take it, he's got a pretty good defensive unit over there to fight me off. His Strick's still waiting, no reason to move up. And his other Avatara kind of moving across from me so that he can, you know, have this battle right here. Brute Drones and the Ferromancer, they're just kind of carting around the Ferromancer, so he has no reason to move up. If he thinks like he can go for it, he can go and like grab this zone over here from the Ferromancer. But right now he's in just a safe spot to not get shot by the Hellbringer Drake or cast by the Fire Wizard. And if I do that, I will be exposing myself, and I don't really need to do that. So that's turn 2. Let's go to turn 3. Here's turn 3. I get all my other regiments onto the table. So Wardens, Fireforge. My opponent gets his Incarnate Sentinels on the table, and his Vanguards and his Onslaught Drones. He still has, Centaur Avataris hanging out in the back over there. They'll be coming on next turn. He didn't get those guys on, but still, board state's developing. This is where I kind of make a mistake. I should not have put this Warder unit over here to claim this zone. Because my Flame Berserkers were up on the table, just use the orange line, you know. My reinforcement line was that far. I just spent time, marched and wheeled my Wardens onto that zone. You know, I'm looking to score it, get ahead on points, doing that kind of stuff. And I think I should have just left that, like how this plays out, I should have just left that zone alone and instead just ran Wardens up like here to come up behind the Flame Berserks on top of the Fireforge who are kind of run up behind as well. And just secure that this is my wall of defense, and not worry about my opponent just kind of picking stuff off, because at this point those Wardens are by their lonesome and can just easily be taken out by, let's say, Incarnates, who can then reform and go elsewhere, and, you know, or just score that. But even then, if they sit there and score, it's pretty good. But he's still got Centaurs, he's got some other stuff around there, Vanguard, clones, like, it's not that fun. Other things go on. Avatar, just kind of run up and go there. My Fireforge and Warden. So Warden's not in a bad spot. You know, just blitzing towards that zone, try and take it, my plan. Fireforge, on the other hand, I moved too far to the left. So the initial plan was that the Fireforge on the right over here, I'll just circle them. Ooh, get that line back. Okay. Circle these guys in orange. Let's talk about them. They should have been, like, not they should have, but My initial plan was to drop both Fireforge there, because I was waiting to bait in my opponent with his Avatar into my Flame Berserks. He never did it. Instead, he threw up the Strix to kind of stall me out. I killed him, take some damage back, but nothing too crazy. But because he didn't commit his Avatara, I'm like, ooh, what's going on? Fireforge, you kind of want to shoot at stuff bigger than you, shoot over the other dwarves. So I'm kind of like, what's going on? Where are you going? So they should not, let's say, been there. I needed something there, and I was doubling up on Fireforge on the left because I wanted both Fireforge to shoot at Avatara. Fireforge make great shots into Avatara just due to their size, and then I can just whittle them down. The regiment used this yellow color. This regiment should have been where this orange square is, still supporting both sides to fight those Avatara. The orange circle, Fireforge, are fine there, because the reason why they're deployed there is I'm trying to, like, you know, counteract these Incarnate Sentinels. And we kind of go from there, because as stuff got played, like, Incarnates finally got dropped, Vanguard clones ran up the table. I'm looking at this fight between Flame Berserks and Vanguard clones, and this is just how the board state's developing, and I'm kind of already breaking the fundamental rule of Dweg, what is to, like, you're supposed to castle and keep things tight, and I'm being too loose with it. I'm not thinking Dweg, I'm thinking 100k, and that's bad. Besides that, my opponent, just takes some shots with Marksman clones into Flame Berserks, okay. Hellbringer Drake and the whole Ballista just shoot into these Brute Drones who get up on the zone, so he's scoring that. I get the score spell off, scoring that. I'm scoring on the right there. He's scoring on over here. So we both get 4 points. But a big mistake here is that I ran the Hellbringer Drake up, got within 16. I had enough move to get within 14 of the other stand. Shot, killed a stand, now was no longer in 14, wasn't able to cast my fire spell. Now I'm a sad panda. So, a couple mistakes there on, like, little small things that kind of escalate and cascade. And I only really, like, see these when you review the game afterwards. So turn 3, big setting up turn, and I already have cracks in my castle that my opponent has the ability to exploit. So let's see if they do it. Here's turn 4. So, I win the roll-off. Me thinking to be aggressive, get the drop on my opponent, I decide to have the Flame Berserkers, who are over here in my red square, go over here, and they fight my opponent's Vanguard clones, who you can see a stand over there. We'll explain what the hell happened over there. So we charge clash, I kill off 2 stands, my opponent only has 4 wounds left. He activates his Vanguard clones because it was either he was gonna, fight back and do stuff, or he was gonna charge me in my side. And at this point, I'm now out of position in my castle. There is no shit tickets to be able to be spent on Flame Berserks, because I am now too far away from the caster to do so. And I'm like, not very good. So with that, he activates his Vanguard clones, they clash, and then they just withdraw. They only take 1 wound, take 1 resolve, now they're down to 2 health, and it's like, oh, you now have a medium, what has 2 health, what's a single stand, that is perfect stand to score and never commit to anything else. And I can't get to you to finish you off. Not that great. And then the follow-up of the Incarnate Sentinels into the Flame Berserks, doing a bunch of stuff. Fireforge, who are back here, just, run up, get into position. I probably didn't need to have my Flame Berserk to go right away. I probably could have done some other stuff. Even if the Vanguard clones ran at me, they would have got inspired because of the hindering, and then I would have had the Fireforge just shoot into the Vanguard clones, killing them. However, now, even though I score the zone, my opponent can easily take it with the Incarnate Sentinels and then get those Vanguard clones back onto this zone and score it. So right now we're both still scoring those zones, but that's kind of the right flank. Hellbringer Drake at some point goes, I forget what this thing does. I think he tries to shoot at the Brute Drones, but the Brute Drones just like double march back, and then his Avatara that he's been buffing just kind of slide over. He has no reason to fight my Flame Berserkers. I have nothing currently to put in this zone besides the Flame Berserkers to keep scoring it because of that misplacement with the Fireforge. Fireforge are really great at sitting in zones. I should look into that more of getting Fireforge in zones. So these guys should have been over here, get in that zone. Like, they don't even need to do that. They just need to be like, eh. Like, you know, just a corner would have been good. However, run up my Wardens, just get within 7 of the Avatara. Run up my Fireforge, just to kind of pop some shots into the Avatara. Avatara take a couple wounds. They don't die, but, you know, I'm starting to work on them. Still playing this chicken game. We'll do it in yellow. This chicken game here. Because I have nothing that can free up those Flame Berserks, I can't just, like, force the issue and just push into my opponent and then, like, follow up with the Tempered Sorcerer. So right now, I'm kind of in a problem where, in black here, this is open. My opponent sees it, deploys the Centaur Avatara, and he's looking to beeline the Hellbringer Drake, and he sits himself, I want to say, outside of 14, but inside of like 16, so I can't get my spells off to generate more tickets. And at this point, he's in a great spot to just keep peppering me with marksman clones, and I'm like, this kind of sucks. I'm spending tokens to heal the Hellbringer Drake and reduce damage, but it's just like, ugh. What else was going on? I think these guys just shoot at them and, you know, do a little bit of plink damage or nothing too crazy. That's really it. But because of my missteps, you can already see this starting to fall apart, and I'm like leaving too big of holes and gaps, and I'm not tight. I'm playing Dweg like 100k and being allowed to spread. You can't spread with Dweg. You gotta take over like 2/3 of the board. I'm failing at that. So I'm starting to come apart, and my opponents notice that with the Centaur placement. And let's see if turn 5, if I have enough shit tickets to stay alive. Here's turn 5. Before my opponent's Centaur Avatara get to go, Hellbringer Drake unloads into them. I just take aim and shoot. I think he deploys, and I think even, what is it? The whole Ballista, like, shoot at some point, you know, kill one before they get in. Tempered, and he deployed them like second last, and the temper had already gone, so he didn't get any spells off again, and then, you know, they just charge in. Do a bunch of damage, I reduce, but now there's that left. On the right side, my opponent rallies and spins around, looking to get into that zone later, but he's not scoring it. My Wardens, not my Wardens. My Wardens basically get killed. They just get charged by Incarnates and killed. Fireforge shooting the side of Incarnates. They don't really have very good options at this point. Like, my opponent over on the right side is just picking me off, setting up his scoring engine over there. On the left, Fireforge shoot into Avatara. Wardens charge into Avatara. Kill him. Onslaught drones countercharge the Wardens. Knock them down to 1 stand. Yeah, jazz hands. On the center, Marksman clones keep peppering the Hellbringer Drake. Ferromancer, you know, is still doing his thing, buffing up the Avatara, still trying to bait me. He has no reason to move forward. I'm kind of stuck where I am. I can't engage because I have nothing scoring that zone except for them. I believe this is actually the turn that I say fuck it, and I'm like, I need to roll a 4 to get into those Avatara, and I roll and I get a 1. So I move the Flame Berserks 1 inch up, and don't score that zone because I'm no longer on the zone. So that really sucks, and I'm kind of like, I need to do something, I need to change it up, and right now I'm not getting the rolls, and it's like, oh, stuff is bad. So right now, my opponent's in a really good spot. He's taken over the right flank. I'm probably going to win the flank on the left, but he's going to smash my center with those Centaurs and those Marksman clones, so I'm going to be in a real bad spot at that point. Let's go to turn 6 and just see how bad it gets. Here's turn 6. Things will go on. Centaurs. They just clash with Flurry. Oh, that's wrong color. Yeah, they just clash with Flurry. And swing into these guys. Actually, I don't think they do that. I think the Marksmen go first. Then I think I'm like realizing the Hellbringer Drake's dying. I don't know. The Hellbringer Drake dies at one point. It probably was the Centaurs. I think the Centaurs do go first. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Centaurs do go first. Sorry, I'm trying to remember this. they kill the Hellbringer Drake, and they charge it to the side of the Hold Ballista, and they just lose a bunch of guys. Hold Ballista, clash back, killing one, and then I think he just kind of sits there and he's broken, so it's like, he doesn't score. Fireforge reform and like shoot these guys in the back at some point. Marksman clones, I think to shoot at the dwarves as well, but doesn't do very well. Over on the left, Wardens hit rally and hit the onslaughts, kill a bunch of them. Onslaughts fight back. Fireforge shooting to onslaughts, and we're there where we are. I think I try to go for it again on the Flame Berserks, and I roll a 2 and I get to where I am. Like needed a 3 this time. And my opponent goes, yeah, okay, I'm gonna come and get you. So he just runs up and gets his avatar into me. And he runs up his brutes and just kind of gets there. And so he is scoring this zone, and this zone. So I'm in a real bad spot. Dice roll's not going my way. Didn't get a single fireball out with the Tempered Sorcerer. Spread too far. Like, I'm not Dweghom. I'm not embracing my inner dwarf. Never said I was one, but I'm not doing it very well. My opponent's picking me apart very well at this point. He scores 2, 4, 6, and then an additional 2 points for the additional for cap and 3, so he's at 8 points to my 0. So well done on him. Let's go to turn, I think it might be 7. Yeah, so we're in turn 7 now. Things don't do so well. First off, what does he do? He gets the Centaur Avatara, clash into the side of the Hold Ballistas, kills a stand, moves in, so he's pulled off the zone, but he's, rallied and clashing. Wardens just clash and walk onto the zone, so I'm scoring that at least. Won that flank finally, well done. And Fireforge are looking to shimmy over to get into the zone. Flame Berserks and Brute Drones and Avatar are all fighting, so Brute Drones charge into Flame Berserks. Flame Berserks kill off 2 of the stands of the Avatar. Like, hey, we're fighting this out. Not much is happening. He's still scoring that zone back there. What else happens? Oh yeah, Fireforge. They're dead. So he just Ferromantic overdrives to move up to like 7 inches, and then he just charges me and just swings around into my front. Hindering Train doesn't really matter. Doesn't get his impacts. He clashes, kills them, wipes them, and I'm like, sweet. Great. And what else? Oh, this guy, this Vanguard clone, he's just looking to like run back and forth between these 2 zones to score them, because this is locked down currently. So my opponent takes 2 points, but he's just in a really commanding spot. I don't really have much left to kind of fight this back. This is the point where dice rolls start going bad as well, so it's like, oh god. Not doing well. Castle's falling apart. He's just killing dwarves. I'm like, oh, this sucks. So we'll speed through the next couple turns. Let's go to 8. Turn 8. Flame Berserkers. I get 2 stands attacks into the Brute Drones, and I get a stand into the Avatara. Avatara lives on like 2. Ferromancer heals the Avatara like 4 or something, getting a stand back. Fireforge get into range and shoot the Avatara, knocking them back down to 2. The other Flame Berserkers kill off a stand of Brute Drones, so I'm just like, oh my god, please die. Like, just die already. Like, Avatar you should have died. Brute Drones, like, you'll be fine, but I'm just like, oh, that really sucks. Warding your score, it doesn't really matter. Over here on the what happened to the Centaur and what happened to the Hold Ballista. Centaurs killed the Ballista. Character dies fighting, kills the Avatara, dead. Both of them died. In, I guess, a retaliation, my opponent walks onto the zone with his Centaur, or not his Centaur, his Incarnates, and scores it. Vanguards run over there, score it. Marksman clones move up to start shooting into Flame Berserks, so that'll be super fun. And he's just controlling, 3 zones, so he gets another 8. So yeah, doing well. Let's go to turn 9. Please, just let me kill this one Avatar. He should have died so long ago. Turn 9, super well. Flame Berserks go first. Kill off the last Brute Drone. So at least the Ferromancer and the Brute Drone's dead. Thank goodness. Avatara lives, because fuck you, Avatara. Fireforge shoot into the Avatara as well, but he's inside that forest, so he takes half shots. He rolls on his evasion and lives through it all, and I'm like, oh my god, please. And Wardens, you're still scoring that. So my opponent at this point is scoring 2 zones, doing really well there. And I think his Marksman clones shoot at my Flame Berserks and kill them eventually with the Avatar and Brute Drones and all that. So, well done him. Oh, and I also moved my Flame Berserkers up so that they could, or not my Flame Berserkers, my Fireforge up so that they could potentially score the zone, but it's locked down currently, so yay. Let's go to turn 10 and wrap this up. Here's turn 10. I win the roll-off. Fireforge shoot again into the Avatar. Avatar lives, and I call it the game. I'm like, okay, just score. And he then just moves everything onto the zones. These guys on here, these guys on here, this guy's on here, so he gets another 8 points. And I get my 2. And that's the end of the game. Let's go to the score, and then I'll talk about this this travesty for Dwarven lives. So my opponent gets 40 points. Oh, I don't even know what that is. Let's go back to here. Yeah, there we go. 40 points. Well done him. I get 17. Super good on my end, and we ended on turn 10. Sweet. So, oh, this was a game. So, I actually learned a lot this game, because losing teaches you shit. I didn't stick with the game plan of Dweghom. That was the big one I learned this game. I was playing a scenario, like, so there's a couple things that, like, factored onto this, and the big one is I didn't stick to the game plan. What is, you got a castle. During that game, as you saw, a lot of my stuff was very wide. Stuff wasn't supporting itself very well, and I could have castled better, and I didn't do the scoring cascade very well, because that big block of Flame Berserkers was stuck scoring that one zone, and wasn't really allowed to just push forward and be annoying so that I could get things into a better position. Once you are in a position to, like, kind of score and grind out your opponent, you don't need to leave. However, I was not in that position because of how wide this scenario is. I should have dumped more stuff, not on the left, but like the center, like that Warden unit that went into the right side should have just been on the center. Hops the whole Ballista and the, what is it, the big Drake, the Hellbringer Drake, and he could have sat there and pushed with his center force, keep them off the Hellbringer Drake and provide fighter support. And then once the center Avatar cleared, push into the Brute Drones, killing that, supporting the Flame Berserk. So they spent 100, I don't know how many points he's got. I want to say 190 or Wardens. I'm just going off the top of my head. Tell me the points. Dweghom. 190, I was right. I spent 190 points to score a zone. Not good. Not good at all. Bad. I also dropped, like, I don't even know how much that character. The character's probably like 150 Argent Kilowall with all his upgrades. Yeah, he's like 90 base plus all his upgrades. He's probably another 60 points. So 150 plus the massive block of Flame Berserks. What's running... We can just go to my list so I can just do it from my phone. Another 335 points. Like, that's like almost a quarter of my list is just sitting on a zone scoring it. That's bad. Bad on me. Bad. So I should have had that Fireforge looking to score that zone as soon as possible, and I didn't, and that was bad. I could have, realizing that my opponent was going to keep locking down the zone that the Hellbringer Drake was going for, move the Hellbringer Drake onto that side. But because I had less cards than my opponent on turn 2, I didn't really see his development until much later on to really make that choice. And that's part of Conquest, is a little bit of the mind game of what is your opponent going to do and what are you going to do. And as things develop and you provide with more information where things are coming onto the table, you can make those choices. So in retrospect, the Hellbringer Drake should have been on the zone that the massive block of Flame Berserker was in, and not on the zone where the little block was, because then I could have put another, like, Flame Berserkers could have been like running into the middle, Wardens could have been there. The Hellbringer Drake hiding behind the massive block is a great place to put it, because then it takes forever to kill through those Flame Berserkers. Like, Avatar, Brute Drones, Marksman clones were shooting those Flame Berserkers, took forever for them to kill it. And they were still doing work out of it, even if I was like rolling bad and the Avatar was still living, but you know, shit happens. And then at that point, I can support those Flame Berserkers better as well. So it gets into the next part. Like, I didn't plan 3 to 4 turns ahead. I planned like 2 turns ahead. Fireforge helping out the Wardens, good idea, but I should have had those Fireforge onto that zone quicker. Wardens on the right shouldn't have been there at all. Fireforge by that building was a fine choice. I don't know about the whole Bliss. I think we're fine. Maybe that changes a little bit as like but I think they were fine. My opponent did a lot of things right, like separated stuff, had multiple threats and different parts of the table to handle things. Had the speed advantage to kind of hit me before I could hit them, and just never need to commit because there was other fights they were winning, so they just could have sit there for as long as they wanted. And I was just kind of misplaying some stuff and going too wide. Decline flank is not a great scenario for Dweg because of how wide it is. Like, for me to do well, I had to give up my 3rd close zone. That's something you kind of don't want to do, but I had no way of supporting it. If I had a way of supporting it, I could kind of justify it, but it was so far in its lonesome because of that building. I should have just accepted that as a loss and then moved elsewhere to do other things and concentrated my force. However, I didn't do that. And that's kind of what cost me the game, was like failing the overall Dweg game plan. What is the castle? And I failed the castle, so I lost. But well done to my opponent. Taking over the speed advantage, being able to spread with their units better than I could, and they had more units to do it with. Setting up redundancies in there as they deployed and supported the battle developed. So really good on them. Well done. So yeah, thank you for watching. Thanks for, I don't know, maybe like, subscribe, leave a comment. I don't know, say something. Maybe I want to talk back. I could talk about this list a little more that now that I played it. Like, I'm a little disappointed in the Tempered Sorcerer, but that's more on me. Like, I think I failed him than he really failed me. My opponent was like super aware of him, so yeah, I wasn't gonna get any work. Like, if your opponent's like hyper, like he was looking to win that game, and he's been putting a lot of the reps into Dweg to like win this game, and I'm like, yeah, don't worry, man, that's fine. I developed another list kind of off of this one, like to take this and expand it more into some things that I like more about Dweg. So I'll probably play that list at some point. But yeah, thanks for watching. You guys all have a great day. Bye.